Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I do this through one-on-one angel sessions, which are wonderful. They take place over the phone. They are 1 hour long, and we connect with the angels, and I bring forward messages. We have a heartfelt conversation, and the intention is for you to feel more connected with your divine guidance. So if you're ever guided to book your own angel session, just reach out to me. I can typically get you in within a few days. And there's more information on my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can also find out about soul mentoring, as well as a variety of classes that I offer. Every 6 weeks or so, I have a new class that I bring forward. So I invite you to sign up for my mailing list as well, and then you will always be in the know of what is coming up. But for now, the angels and I are here to help create a cozy, soothing, calming place where you can rest, drift off to sleep, or simply allow us to keep you company for the next hour or so. So this podcast is inspired by my deep affection for sleep podcasts. I have been listening to them for years, and I love that cozy feeling that I get when I put in my earbuds and pull up my covers and get ready to go to sleep while I listen to a story, someone reading to me. There's just this very Pavlovian response that I have when I hear a soft and soothing voice speaking to me from afar, as it were. So this is what I'm going to be doing for you for the next hour. So the first 15 to 20 minutes, I'll be sharing with you the beautiful love of the angels, perhaps some morsels of inspiration, and then we segue into story time, where I share with you a story. I read to you from something that's in the public domain. I wax poetic as we drift down memory lane about something, so always something a little different. But the episode will run about an hour, which means that you have plenty of time to drift off. That's always my preference with sleep podcasts, that they run about an hour long, because I don't like to feel rushed. There are some podcasts that are sleep-centric that are only about 20 minutes long, and I won't even listen to them because I think, ooh, that's too much pressure that I have to drift off in 20 minutes, even though I usually do. I just like to know that I have plenty of time. I'm not a girl who likes to be rushed. So this podcast is by design an hour long so that you don't feel rushed either. And there are lots of episodes in the archive, so you can always set up a playlist that runs longer. So whatever you need, however you are guided to use this podcast, you have my love. and my support. And also a nod of acknowledgement to those of you who listen during your waking hours. I love that I get to be a companion for you and keep you company and entertained perhaps as you go about your day. So thank you for being here. It truly is a blessing. I love the intimacy of this kind of podcast. You know, as I listen to my sleep podcasts and other programs that I love to listen to, they create a beautiful sense of intimacy for me. I just finished teaching my podcasting class, which I do teach this, so if you're ever inspired to start your own podcast, I do have a lovely 6-week class that I teach a few times a year. But one of the things that we talk about is that some podcasts are one to many. So I think about the podcasts that I listen to that have very large audiences, and I don't necessarily feel like they're just for me. So an example would be I absolutely loved The West Wing Weekly, which was a podcast that reviewed every single episode of The West Wing, which is a show that I absolutely love. And I never felt that they were talking directly to me. I felt like I was in an audience. It was still a delicious, wonderful experience. But then there are other podcasts, the sleep podcasts that I've listened to. There's another wonderful podcast called the Weight Loss Surgery Podcast. And the host is Rieger Cortell, and she has such empathy and wisdom when it comes to supporting people who are on this journey. And I always felt like her episodes were just for me, even though I knew they were for many, many people. And the Sleep With Me podcast by Andrew Ackerman, so many of his podcasts, I felt like he was my friend. And we're going shopping at Trader Joe's together, or he's making a meal or sharing a memory with me. And so it's this concept of some podcasts are one to many, and other podcasts are one to one. Like it's an intimate, personal experience. And I have purposefully designed this podcast so that you can have the experience that we are engaged in an intimate conversation. That even though there might be others who are listening right now, this message is for you. And the beautiful thing about the angels is they will always calibrate the energy specifically for you. So even as I bring them forward, even though others will hopefully, God willing, be listening to this message, I do love the idea of this podcast growing its audience, but I always want you to have the experience that this is for you, because it is. I've shared with you before one of my favorite quotes that truly influenced, I think, my intention for my life. And it comes from a piece of prose that is often attributed to Emerson, but he did not write it. And a snippet of it says, "To know that one life has breathed easier because you have lived, this is to succeed." And I read that for the first time on a greeting card when I was 18 years old, maybe 19. And I had purchased the card for a friend that I never sent it to them because it meant so much to me that I have kept it all these years. And I remember at the time thinking that was so profound, that what could my life ever be that someone would breathe easier because I existed? that seemed to be such a beautiful dream. And it speaks to the holiness of each of us, right? It didn't say to know that thousands of people breathe easier because you have lived. I mean, that's of the ego, right? But to know that one life, one precious, beautiful life has breathed easier because you have lived. Well, that's the Holy of Holies that says that each person is the universe. And so this is my philosophy for my light work and in the work that I do, that I always want there to be a sense of intimacy here for you, so that you know that you are precious right now. You are perhaps, if I can hope it to be so, that maybe you are breathing just a little bit easier right now because we are together. That is the greatest blessing. And I'm so deeply grateful for this opportunity to be here with you right now. You are an answered prayer. Just take a big deep breath on that. And if you're wondering how that can be true, let me tell you. Many, many years ago, not that long ago, that sounds like it was the 1850s. Let's say somewhere around the year 2000, 2002, as I was going through my experience at the University of Santa Monica, as I was casting off my old narrative and perception of who I was and of my life, spaciousness started to open as to who I might become. And there was a time for a few years where I would go for these hikes along the Will Rogers State Park trail. And I would almost always go alone, because when I was on my own, I could talk to God. And I could wander through my thoughts and my beliefs. And I could cast new prayers and dreams into the sky, into the world. And I prayed that I could live a life where I could encourage and inspire others. And I didn't know what that would look like. I was still in the process of becoming the me that I am now. And there was such a yearning in me to be of loving service. Again, I didn't know what it would look like. And I prayed that God, Spirit, the angels would bring us together. Help me find my people. Help me find my community. Help me make heartfelt connections with others. And let us connect in ways that are deeply meaningful. So in this moment, as you are listening to this broadcast, you are an answered prayer. I prayed for this moment, that we would find our way together, and that I might have the privilege, the blessing of somehow encouraging you, loving you, supporting you. And in doing so, the love and the encouragement and inspiration blossoms open. It flows back to me. It flows to you. You repurpose it in the world somehow. And we become this beautiful community of light workers, of light bearers, of knowing that each one of us can breathe some extra love into ourselves and into the world. And in this moment, a little bit more peace is available to us. A little bit more soothing is here. That you know in this moment you are not alone, and you are not the only one. There are many of us here who dream of making this world a bit better than we found it. So I invite you to take a nice deep breath in and out, getting comfortable in this beautiful body of yours. And I'm going to call in the angels, and they are already here. But I love the ritual of sharing them with you. So beautiful, angels on high. And I ask that you infuse this broadcast with waves of love, of soothing, calming, healing light for each of our beloveds listening to this broadcast. Angels, I ask that you lift and clear their burdens, their fears, their worries, allowing them to be transformed into light, dispersed into nothingness. Because what feels heavy to us is light as a feather to you. So angels, we give to you that which feels heavy. And we ask that you infuse each one of us with waves of inspiration, helping us remember that we are beautiful, divine beings having human experiences, to help us awaken to our beautiful, divine, creative, inspired selves, and to also help us to have deep compassion and understanding for our humanness. And dear ones, just take some more nice deep breaths in, allowing the grace of this moment to find you right now. That in this breath you are loved. The love is streaming in for you. And if you have any prayers or intentions that you wish to share with the angels, bring them into your heart now. You can say them silently or even say them aloud if you want to. How can the angels help you? Let them know. There is power in asking, because when you ask, the portal opens for the support to come in. So how can the angels support you right now? Ask them. Let them support you. It is their blessing to do so. And so take some more nice deep breaths in, breathing this love into every cell of your body, every thought in your mind, and every emotion of your heart. Just allow your entire beingness to be bathed in this love. This love is divine elixir. It is here to support you. Just like the plant kingdom turns towards the sun, so do we turn towards divine light, and we are recharged. We are replenished. We are reminded of the beauty that is here for each one of us. That I affirm goodness is coming to you now. Beauty is flowing to you now. Grace is flowing to you now. So just take another nice deep breath in, allowing the love to be with you. And you feel free to cozy on up and snuggle on in if you are preparing for sleep. And allow yourself to drift off whenever you are ready. The angels will be with you. And while you rest, I'm going to share with you some stories. So for our story time in this episode, I thought I would share some food memories with you. As most of you know, I love food. I am imprinted with food. And I don't know how your memories work or what you're imprinted with, but as I scan the timeline of my life, I almost always can reference some experience with food and some experience with television. Those seem to be two of my benchmarks that are somehow imprinted with me. Now, I suppose if I were a different kind of person, I would have memories of traveling or of hiking in Yosemite or something that is, I don't know, this is me being very judgmental of my food and television love, and I suppose that is not very kind, so I will not apologize for my deep love of both food and television. They both just happen to be two of my love languages. And so I thought I would share with you some of the foods that I have loved that are no longer available. And that is sad, but it is life. Life changes all the time. And I started down this rabbit hole because I have been frustrated. I don't mean to make this sound so deep. I have been a bit frustrated with my best friend, Trader Joe's. Because Trader Joe's can be a really fickle friend in that products that you may have loved for a long time, or perhaps I should say I may have loved for a long time, are all of a sudden discontinued. And then there's nothing else on the market to replace it. And so this makes for a rather tenuous relationship because I am a creature of habit. And so when I go to Trader Joe's, I always buy the same things. I might try something new, but I have a habit of what I buy. And then one day they are gone. And it is sad. My latest item that has been discontinued, that I have loved for a long time, may not sound very delicious to you. It is not chocolate. It is not a pastry because I don't eat those things anymore. And this is something that recently happened, so this is going to be a rather healthy dish, but it is one that I have had a long, delicious relationship with. And it is their Healthy 8 chopped vegetable mix. Now you might say, nothing about that sounds good to me, and I will understand. But what it is, or was diced vegetables, very small diced vegetables. So if you know the magic of a chopped salad, you'll get the idea. And it had 8 different vegetables in it, which included broccoli, carrots, celery, jicama, which I love jicama, but I am not good at chopping it because you need a lot of muscle for that. It had bell peppers, radish, which again, I don't eat radishes, but if there's a little bit of radish in something, I'm good. Some cabbage. And that was awesome to add to other salads. And for the past 2 years, maybe, I have had a ginormous salad for lunch almost every day. And I'm a girl who loves a good salad bar because I don't have to chop everything. So this invention of things like this healthy 8 chopped veggie mix, as well as the bagged salad that is so readily available now, I get to make the best salads every day. And I'm delighted by them because every bite is a treasure hunt. Like, I don't know what I'm going to get in every bite. And it delights me because I'm a girl who loves variety. But alas, earlier this month or in late December, this thing was discontinued. Now, I have been buying this for a long time. Even when I used to live in Los Angeles, and there was another product that was discontinued that I used to have it with, which was not Trader Joe's affiliated, but it was the Cardini's lemon and herb dressing, which was made from the recipe from the Source restaurant, which used to be in Los Angeles, which does not exist anymore. So when they discontinued my healthy chopped mix thing that I loved, it also made me sad about the loss of the lemon herb dressing, which we're going to be talking about the Source restaurant in just a moment. So, Trader Joe's, if you're listening, please bring it back. I loved this thing. And while we're at it, may I share with you Trader Joe's? Because if you were a human being and might fall upon this podcast, please bring back the jumbo raisin medley that you had. Now, friends, if you're listening, you may wonder why I am sad about the loss of a bag of raisins. Because perhaps your relationship to raisins has to do with those little boxes of Sun-made raisins that we would get in our lunches as kids. And maybe you never did, but I did. And you know the tagline that says, raisins are nature's candy? I never fell for that. Candy's candy. Candy is its own thing. And I never really wanted a box of raisins in my lunch as a snack. But I had it because I couldn't have candy, right? So I grew up with a tenuous relationship with raisins. I never disliked them. I know some people hate them. They were okay, but they were never a food that I loved until, this is important, until I tasted Trader Joe's jumbo raisin medley. As the name says, they were big raisins, and they were different kinds, hence the word medley. There were golden raisins and black raisins and something called crimson raisins that I did not even know existed. And for many, many years, I have loved these raisins because they're amazing in previously discussed salad. And Wes loves these raisins too, and he likes the golden ones. So when we would sit down and share a bag of raisins as we were watching television, maybe now this is a little bit TMI that I'm sharing our snacking habits while we watch TV, he would eat the golden ones and I would eat the other 2 flavors. And they were delicious. And I also make overnight oats. And they're amazing in overnight oats because they plump up even more. And when the pandemic happened and we were sort of building up our coffers, I always made sure I had several bags of these raisins. And then they got hard to get. So when they came back, I would buy more. I would rotate in and out of our stash of raisins until my friends, they got discontinued. I don't know why they made this decision. I mean, it's not as if I could just go buy someone else's jumbo raisin medley, except that I could, because many of Trader Joe's products are corporate twins, and there's a manufacturer that does co-packing for them. So I went on a treasure hunt with my friend Google to find who else might have a jumbo raisin medley from Fresno, California. Fresno, the raisin capital, I think, of the world, if not the country, certainly of California. And I found a company, if anybody else is a raisin fiend. It is called Sunview Marketing. And yes, they sell a jumbo raisin medley that I now mail order. I actually get a case of raisins. It's only six canisters, so it's not as if it's, a pallet of raisins. It's 6 canisters at a time of these jumbo raisins. And they are really good, but in my mind, they are not as good as the Trader Joe's ones, even though they might be exactly the same. It may have to do with the freshness of the package or something like that. So now, just so you're not disappointed, my sharing with you of food memories is not going to be limited to raisins and vegetables, because that would be sad, right? I mean, come on, we've got to get into some really good stuff here. So let me tell you the story of crunchy taters. Now, I don't know how many of you remember these. They were super big in the 80s, and they were these mesquite barbecue kettle chips put out by Lay's that I loved. And for those of you who remember the episode of Unexpected Family, where I shared with you that I lived with my cousin Susie Bleadon, she loved them too. We both loved crunchy taters that were, alas, discontinued at some point. And over the years, we have shared our love of crunchy taters and bemoaned the fact that they are no more. But there's more. Hold on. Somewhere around November of last year, just a few months ago, I was scrolling through Instagram, and these algorithms can be horrible and awesome, because somehow in that moment, Instagram knew that I wanted to be on Snack Instagram, where it was showing me a bunch of cool snacks. Awesome. And I see a bag of crunchy taters. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. What is happening here? Come to find out that Lay's put out a special release of crunchy taters, and it was going to be exclusive to Dollar General, which is a store here in the United States. So we have a Dollar General right up the street. So I immediately get in my car, drive up there, and they don't know what I'm talking about. I even go back later in the day because I see there is a Lay's delivery truck in front, and I ask the delivery guys, what about the crunchy taters? And again, they're like, we don't know what you're talking about, but we'll check into it. I go back 2 weeks later, and there they are. And the Lay's guys were kind of doing the display, and they said, "You're the one who asked." I said, I am. It was me. And so I bought 4 bags of the Mesquite Barbecue Crunchy Taters. And I bought 2 bags for Wes and I, and 2 bags for Susie and her family. Now, Susie lives in Calabasas, and I live in Northern California. So I went to the post office. I got one of those priority mail boxes. I put the 2 bags into the box, and I priority mailed them to Susie. I was like, we need to taste these together. We cannot, neither one of us can have a crunchy tater until we are together. And we both agreed that was a really good idea. So, a few days later, her package arrives. And we get on a Zoom together, and Wes was with me. And so we open the bag together, and we each, in our respective homes, taste the crunchy tater. Now, it's important to know, I guess these were never called crunchy taters, even though that's what we thought they were called. They were called crunch taters. See what the memory does? We always thought they were crunchy, but they were just crunch. So, back to the taste testing. They were amazing. We were so happy, and we just ate our potato chips together, and we walked down memory lane, and they were phenomenal. Okay, next day, I'm now reading more about this comeback of the crunch taters. Come to find out, someone says, oh, these were just the Lay's Kettle Mesquite Barbecue chips repackaged as crunch taters. And I said, no, those can't be the chips that have always been available in recent years, because I have had the Lay's Mesquite Barbecue Kettle chips, and they are no crunchy taters. That's not the same. But I needed to know, so we went and got a bag of the Lay's Kettle Mesquite Barbecue chips. And Wes and I did a side-by-side taste test comparison. And Wes is very detail-oriented, so he was looking at the distribution of the flavoring and the thickness of the chip. They're exactly the same. Okay, I didn't know what to say to that, because here I had been waxing poetic about the loss of this chip that was no more. And it was always available as this other packaged chip. Anyways. So I guess that's a happy ending, because a chip that I had thought had been discontinued had actually been here all along, but had been repackaged. But that was another food nostalgia incident. And it's interesting now that I know that they're the kettle chips that are on the market. I don't care. I don't care about them. I have a bag sitting. That second bag that I bought is still sitting in the pantry untouched, because now, not such a big deal. Isn't it weird how weird our minds are? But since we're going down the rabbit hole of food nostalgia, I need to go back to my healthy 8 chopped vegetable mix, and that I love to eat it with the lemon herb Cardini's dressing that is no more. That was the dressing from the Source restaurant that is no more. And so I went and I found online a copy of the old Source menu, and I thought we could read it together, because they had delicious food. So the Source restaurant was, I guess, considered Hollywood. It was near La Cienega and Sunset. And just as an aside, if you have never been in Los Angeles, La Cienega is a long, long street that runs north-south. And Sunset runs east-west. And the thing about La Cienega is it is a flat street for most of its existence until you get just north of Santa Monica Boulevard, heading up to Sunset Boulevard. And it goes on this very steep incline. I mean, not like the Alps. It's not like the mountains in the Alps incline. But in my early days of living in Los Angeles, I drove a stick shift. And I don't know if you have ever had to drive a stick shift in traffic on an incline. It is nerve-wracking because you have to figure out the clutch and the gas and the brake, and you only have 2 feet and 3 pedals that need to be orchestrated perfectly so you don't roll back into the car behind you. So, one of my memories of going to the source was somehow navigating the hill at La Cienega and Sunset. And I would sometimes go many blocks out of my way to avoid that incline because I was never terribly secure driving that in my what was it? It was a Pontiac T1000, which was a corporate twin to the Chevette. I was flying high back in those days. And so it was a very base model, but it did have air conditioning, which was awesome. So the Source restaurant was a health food restaurant. And, that was a thing back in the 70s, 60s, I guess, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so the Source was very famous and had very delicious food. So let's go through their menu. So they, of course, have lots of delicious salads. And it says the choice of blue cheese or French dressing. So they must have had other dressings as well. Well, before we go through the menu, let me tell you what I always ordered, because this is where it matches up to the earlier story. We need some kind of continuity here, right? Even though, hopefully you're asleep by now, I loved their vegetarian burger. So if we go back to the episode a few episodes ago where I shared with you old Weight Watchers recipes, I am not a big fan of food that is supposed to be other food, like the cottage cheese on toast that is supposed to be a cheese Danish. So back in the day, a vegetarian burger was not supposed to be a replacement for a beef burger. Now they have things like the Impossible Burger, which, listen, I think is great when it comes to health and animal welfare and things like that. So I am not at all dissing the development of these new kinds of vegetarian burgers. But I always had a relationship with vegetarian burgers that were not mimicking beef. They were their own thing. So it was its own flavor profile and its own texture that I loved, because I think one of the first vegetarian burgers I ever had was at the Source. So it's a vegetarian burger prepared with your health in mind. Our own special blend with grains, nuts, herbs, lettuce, and tomato, served on a whole wheat bun. It was delicious. And they always served it with shredded beets and sprouts that had this lemon herb dressing on it, which is why I was waxing poetic about it, because I loved this dressing. And they licensed the recipe to Cardini's, who then bottled it. And at some point, the Source restaurant closed down, but I could still get the dressing from the supermarket. So I was good. And then they stopped making that too. Oh, such sadness. So, but let me share with you some of the other things that they served at the Source. So they have a variety of salads. And then they have delicious entrees of vegetable pilaf. Who does not like a good pilaf? A combination of zucchini, green peppers, scallions, and tomatoes served on a bed of rice, seasoned with olive oil and garlic, covered with melted cheddar cheese. Delicious, right? A cheese and walnut loaf casserole dish consisting of walnuts, cheddar cheese, olives, green peppers, pimentos, Spanish onions, milk, whole wheat bread, and mushrooms, heated in a special tomato sauce covered with melted cheddar cheese. So there's a lot of cheese involved here. And then they had delicious salads. The Source dinner salad, romaine lettuce, grated carrots, and beets, red cabbage, cucumbers, and tomatoes. So delicious food there. So this veggie burger I loved. And it was similar to the veggie burger that I could get at the Good Earth, another restaurant that has closed down that I miss terribly. And then, I don't know if this is a national chain. I know that it started here in California, a restaurant called The Counter, who specialized in amazing burgers, French fries, onion rings, and milkshakes. So it was very much elevated diner food. And their veggie burger, to me, reminded me so much of the Planet Burger from Good Earth and the Source Burger, which I loved. So they actually shared the recipe for the Counter veggie burger publicly at some point, like on some of the news channels and things like that. The chef, I guess, shared the recipe. And I have tried to make them, and they were not nearly as good. And now the Counter serves a different kind of veggie burger. Because now veggie burgers are trying to be more like beef burgers and black bean burgers and things like that. But let me share with you the recipe for the old Counter veggie burger, which will give you a sense of the flavor profile for the Source Burger and the Planet Burger at Good Earth. So this was published in 2012. It looks like it's on Access Hollywood's website. So please don't get mad at me for sharing this, Access Hollywood. So Jeff Weinstein, founder and co-CEO of the Counter Restaurants, is sharing his healthier burger and grilling tips. So this is the Counter Veggie Burger Patty recipe. 2 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil, 1 onion with a small dice, 3 garlic cloves minced, 2 carrots grated, 1 yellow squash grated, 1 green zucchini grated, 1½ cups of rolled oats, 1/4 cup of cooked black beans, 2 tablespoons of Italian parsley chopped, 1 egg beaten, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So this is not a gluten-free recipe. In a large skillet, heat the olive oil until almost smoking. Add the onions and lower the heat to medium. Mix, then add the garlic and cook until tender and soft. Add the carrots, squash, and zucchini and season. Cook for about 3 to 4 minutes until soft and hot. Add the black beans, egg, paprika, parsley, and oats. Take off the heat and mix and place in a bowl and let it rest for 1 to 2 hours. Form veggie patties to desired size and place in flour to lightly coat. Place a large skillet on the stove on medium heat and add olive oil and 1 hot place patties. Flip the burger when golden brown about 3 to 4 minutes and cook the other side the same. Note, The flour is optional to help give the veggie patty a nice crust when cooking. The patty can be cooked without the final flour coating if desired, and the oats can be replaced with brown rice to offer a gluten-free alternative. So there you go. You can make this gluten-free. But as you can tell, the flavor profile on that would be very different than something that is trying to pretend to be something else. So I loved the Source veggie burgers, and then I loved the Planet burgers from the Good Earth. And then I loved the veggie burgers from the Counter, which they no longer make the same way. So this is my nostalgia for some delicious foods that are no longer available. And I'm wondering what you are missing. And oh, there's way more, just so you know. This can be a multi-episode arc. So here I have shared with you some intimacy from my life about my love for salad and chopped vegetables that I need not chop. I mean, here's the thing also. When I talk about the beauty and the love of the Trader Joe's chopped vegetable mix, clearly everything in that, there is no special ingredient that is unavailable to me. I can easily go to a grocery store and buy all of those vegetables. But then I would have to chop them. And I don't know if I have made this clear to you yet. I do not enjoy having to cook. I will when I need to, but I am a girl who loves easy things. I love easy. Easy and me, we are besties. So that I could just go get this container that somehow had been chopped elsewhere, by machine or by a human being, I do not know. But it has been prepared, and it has been perfectly apportioned, so I don't have half a head of cabbage sitting in my refrigerator with a few radishes that I will not eat. They were perfectly apportioned, and I would open the container and put it into my bowl with my other salad fixings, and then I would have a delicious meal. But now that they are gone, I am trying out some of their other vegetable mixes. I have tried some others that I am building a relationship with, because we must be resilient in this life. And so I am coming up with other salad concoctions that are pleasing to me. And so I will forgive Trader Joe's for this, but you know, it makes for an uneasy relationship because I love what I love. And knowing that at some point they might discontinue what I love, it is uneasy. It leaves me uneasy. They have an eggplant spread that I love on my sandwiches. I know might go away one day. I love their crunchy curlies. Maybe those will go away someday. So Trader Joe's, please do not discontinue any more of my favorites, because I depend upon you. And I am grateful for you. And to the spirit of the Source Restaurant and Good Earth and the old Counter burgers, I send you love and gratitude for the deliciousness that you have shared with me. And you know what is so funny is I actually wrote down a bunch of notes prior to this recording of other discontinued foods that I am longing for. And I still have a lot on my list, so there will be more episodes about this. So if there's anything you're missing, send me a note. Let me know what it is. Maybe I'll weave it into a future episode, and we can wax poetic of culinary delights that are no longer. So, I love you. Maybe you're having really sweet dreams. Maybe you're dreaming of salad and raisins and veggie burgers. But thank you for allowing me the blessing of keeping you company. I love you very much, and I am deeply grateful for the gift of you. So you rest well, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.